Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
American economist and political commentator Thomas Sowell said this way back in 1930, and it rings true today. I quote, "Much of the social history of the Western world over the past 3 decades has been a history of replacing what worked with what sounds good." Morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by I Want a Patriot to call in with our Pledge of Allegiance. Morning, morning. Thank you, Kate Smith, and God bless America. Good morning, everybody. Zeb Bell, Zeb at the Ranch, and, of course, with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. If you're getting ready to go on a last-minute before-school road trip, you better go in there to make sure everything's A-OK with all your tires, front-end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, etc., at your Les Schwab Tire Centers. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, let's go to the phone line. I want a patriot on here this morning. Good morning.
Well, good morning, sir.
You the man.
Yes.
All right, sir.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Attaboy, Wheels. Right now, let's go to the weather forecast. And I understand it's supposed to get kind of hot again over the weekend. K&R Rental, 256 South, 600 west of Hebron on the Burley-Paul Highway. Holy moly, they got all the equipment and tools to finish any kind of a project. You stop in and see Roger and the rest of his great folks today. They opened up over an hour ago at 7 o'clock, and they're there to serve you on the Burley-Paul Highway. K&R Rental, 678-3122. Wheels, let's listen to that weather forecast. Wheels, let's listen to the weather forecast.
I understand. I'm trying to play the hotkey, but for some reason it won't fire off. So let me figure out what's going on here and talk to Gina.
All right. Well, don't be long. Don't be long. And while I'm waiting for our weather, I want to remind everybody that next week, of course, actually this weekend starts the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And they start on Saturday night this weekend, August 11th, with the concert gates open at 6:30, and then a fantabulous concert with Asleep at the Wheel. Boy, they're good. And then Casey Donahue. Boy, he's good. Going to be outstanding. And I want you to get your tickets right now. Get a hold of the Cassia County Fair office. And then the next night, Sunday, August 12th, the Monster Truck Show put on by Live a Little Productions and the Pit Party at 4:30 and the Monster Truck Show at 6 p.m. All of this and more at your Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo with many of the merchants in the area. asking you to be in attendance, and they include Golden Valley Warehouse at 468 West, 1000 South of Burley. Don't forget competitive prices, quality seed, barley, wheat, triticale, oats, alfalfa, you name it, they've got it at Golden Valley Warehouse. Along with Mountain Transmissions, good people, 1146 East Main in Burley. And Rick and the crew, they can help you with free diagnostics and free estimates, latest and greatest technology available at Mountain Transmissions. And Kelly's Bearings, I love this. You'll know where you're at when you get your bearings at Kelly's. They put a lot of time in that. That's pretty catchy. Kelly's Bearing Supply, bearings, chains, brackets, everything right there, 1407 East Main in Burley. And they all want you to be there at the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. Wheels, do we have our weather ready to go?
Yeah, she is going to have it here in about 30 seconds. The end date was wrong on it in the computer when she loaded it in, so we're just fixing that, and then the weather should be taken care of.
We're waiting patiently for our weather, and we're not going to go anywhere until we get it on. And I want to remind everybody, of course, about our friends over at Ramsey Heating and Electric. And, of course, they've been in business for almost 6 decades. Absolutely. All your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. The number to call, 678-0459. And they open at 7:30 in the morning till 5 Monday through Friday. And keep cool. Make sure you got your air filters for your ACs. It's going to get hot this weekend. Some people are prognosticating over 100. We'll hear more about that hopefully in a minute on the weather. But don't forget, all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Happy anniversary goes out today to Lyndon and Bertha Wood. These are some of the nicest people and members of our lunch bunch, and we want to wish them a very, very happy anniversary today. Wheels, I think you got it, right?
Yes, sir, I do.
All right, this is the longest weather forecast KNR's ever had. Go ahead and play the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Wednesday, and we are still expecting that haze to stick around due to all of the area wildfires. Sunny skies for today and a high of 93. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 58. Tomorrow, even warmer. Sunny, hazy, high of 96 with an overnight low of 60. By Friday, we are expecting 100 degrees, so please make sure that you're able to keep yourself cool on that day. For Friday night, looks like clear skies with a low of 63. Then for Saturday, winds are picking up just a little bit, knocking down the temperature to about 89. And then as we look ahead towards Sunday, sunny skies and upper 80s. That's your weather forecast for Zephyr 3.
It's going to get warm. Look out, stock tank. Here I come. I'm going to dive in. KNR Rental, 256 South, 600 West of Hayburn on the Burley-Paul Highway, 678-3122. That is the weather. Thank you very much. Let's see, where am I headed right now? I can't believe this. It is a sign of the times of people that have never served in our military and making irrational, basically stupid comparisons and remarks. A Notre Dame professor, and I caution you to really think about, this guy's qualified to be a professor? A Notre Dame professor came out in a written article and said that he, hold on caller, he equals the media and what they do with being in our military. Now really think about it. What a wake-up call for nonsense. This professor with the aptitude of what sounds like a field mouse, equating people that are trying to hide in foxholes and cover themselves up from being shot or blown up, protecting our country, protecting us. He equivalates that with the media? Absolute nonsense. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
I've been thinking about this message, and I'd like to put it out. I do not advocate social media. I do not use it. I really don't care about it. But I think it's being invaded by the left, and all of these Twitter and all the rest of them will probably follow suit. Now, with Zeb Bell in the morning, we can rely on what you tell us because it is fact, not speculation. But in order for you to be able to continue to deliver this message to us, you have to have sponsors. And I would advise people that are listening now to go to these sponsors and support them, because that's what's keeping you on the air, and I appreciate it, and you're the man.
You know, that was as nice a thing that has ever been said about my program and myself and my sponsors. And I mean this when I say a great big thank you back at you, Keith. You get it. You get it. You really do. And Wheels, we need that feedback adjusted a little bit. You understand that in order to keep this show going, we need sponsorships. You understand that we put a lot of time and effort and work into this program every day to tell the truth. Not to tell an opinion, but to tell the truth. Now, I will state opinions on the truth, but there's a big difference right there. I'm not just going to give you my opinion without anything to back it up. And it does take a lot of work. It's not just me alone. It's Deanne, and she has been such an asset to us. It is people that I work with on the coast, whether it's New York or Washington, D.C., or in L.A. I rely on a lot of people to get the facts on these stories and not just opinions. So, Keith, that meant a lot to me. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd just like to make one final statement. When you go off the air, you're not done working for the day. You're just beginning. And we appreciate all the work that you put in to making this a great show.
Wow, I think I'm going to have to buy you and Nancy breakfast. That was really nice. Thank you, Keith. God bless you, man. I mean that. Thank you. Thank you.
You bet. Bye-bye.
That is a very nice thing to say. Yeah, we get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I've said this before. And I'm certainly not looking for any sympathy. It's just the way the wheel turns. We get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and we're in the office by 5. And starting to put things together. Immediately after the show's over, it's not all comfy, go sit down, my, what a beautiful day activity. No, Deanna's generating business for the company, and I am also refurbishing and researching stories to put on the air the next day. So this job turns into about almost a 12-hour-a-day job. It's not just 3 hours, and then I'm off frolicking in the hinterland, but I love it, and I love the truth, and we're not going to resort to anything else, I promise that. Denny's Restaurant, America's Diner at 611 North Overland in Burley. My, all the greatest of menu choices for breakfast, lunch, dinner, anytime, all the time. Oh, breakfast is my favorite. I just love breakfast, and believe me, I have never in my life had better breakfast than right over there at Denny's. Whoa, yeah. Love those strawberry cream pancakes. America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley, and also at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. You stop in, you'll see what I mean at the Home Zeb's Lunch Bunch, Denny's Restaurant. You stop in and see them today. Also want to give a great big shout out to some folks that they've been with us now for quite some time, and we really appreciate them for what they do, and that's Dino Septic Service. Yeah, everybody kind of wrinkles their nose up in the air and says, ooh, septic. Yeah, well, I don't like the smell. Well, nobody does, and that's why they're there to serve you. Septic tanks pumped and liquid waste removal, sewer and sink drain lines clean. They do the job, and do it well, that you and I don't want to do. Fast, fair, friendly service. Number to call, 436-6526, or in Burley, 678-1638, with that big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Dino Septic Service, you be sure and give them a call today. Wow. Let me ask you this. There seems to be a big backlash in what's going on in Chicago. I talked to some people that live in that area of Chicago and the surrounding suburban area. And, of course, I used to live back in the Midwest, about 110 miles north of Chicago. And as I've stated many times on this program, frequently went down to Chicago to either the Cubs games or the Museum of Science and Industry. I just love that place. I mean, man, I tell you, you can learn so much, and some of the exhibits are absolutely phenomenal. Still are, after all these many, many years. But there is a big change that looks like it's brewing and festering in Chicago, because even black leadership in the city of Chicago is pushing to throw Rahm Emanuel out as mayor. Get rid of him. Now, what's really going to be interesting here, folks, is that when you listen to the pastors and some of the assemblymen and community leaders, etc., around Chicago, that has turned into a war zone, and heaven forbid that we out here in the West ever have anything like what's going on there. People are afraid to go out of their homes. People have called other people to basically escort them to the store. People are not allowing their children to play out or go to a community court, basketball court, or a tennis court. They're not going anywhere. They're living in a war zone. And they've had enough. They've had enough. Black leadership is stepping forward, and they're saying, President Trump, help us. This absolute ridiculous mayor and his henchman, Rahm Emanuel in Chicago, are not doing anything. Nothing. Nada. Chicago is a mess. And for those of you that feel like we're immune to these kinds of problems sitting here in the Northwest, and specifically here in the Intermountain West, we are not. This kind of a cancer that's occurring in Chicago, that's occurring in San Francisco, that's occurring in L.A., that's occurring in Chicago, New York. The list goes on. The list gets bigger. The people get more involved with the Democratic Party and the liberalism across our country, providing nothing but chaos to these communities. And the people in Chicago have had it. They're scared to go to a baseball game. They're afraid to travel to the game and travel back home. They're afraid to go to their children's schools. They're absolutely afraid 24/7, 365 of literally getting wiped out by gang violence and whatever in the city of Chicago. Chicago's a very, very nice town. Very nice city. And if you've ever been there, right next to Lake Michigan, very picturesque. But it's being ruined by a total lack of leadership and lack of responsibility. Liberal Democrats that should be thrown into Lake Michigan. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. That cancer, and that's what it is, I hope and pray does not ever prevail itself here. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, with Nick Greenwell and his staff. What can I say? I mean, honestly, they've been on the air for a long time. You know that I absolutely believe in them. You know that I realize that with the exercise programs and all the use of that hydrotherapy pool, they can and they will help you get back to being you. Don't walk around in pain. Don't walk around in stiffness. Call them and make an appointment so they can help you get back to being you. 678-1191. That's the telephone number to make an appointment. Do it. Call Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. Why does that word hang up? And they're located at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. There, I said it 3 times. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. Do you think by throwing them Democrats in Lake Michigan, they might quit smelling?
Well, no, I just thought about that, and I want to correct myself. I want to correct myself about throwing the Democrats in the lake because that would contribute to our water pollution problem.
Well, you might contaminate the lake, that's for sure, kill all the fish.
Have you ever been there, Jerry?
I have, several times.
Okay, but now agree with me or disagree with me. Chicago, in its purest form as a major Midwestern city, right on the banks of Lake Michigan, is and has been very picturesque.
It can be, unless you go to the stockyards.
Well, Jerry, come on. Now, we're talking politics and the mess that's going on in there. I'm not talking about anything like that.
Okay. And, you know, it is a nice area. Of course, most of that country back there is very nice. It's green and mountainous if you get out in the forest and stuff. And it's beautiful.
Absolutely. Well, the point is, though, Jerry, is that liberalism, and I'm going to call a spade, the Democratic Party that's in rule in Chicago has destroyed the atmosphere of safety and security.
Well, that's no question about that. The number of deaths is ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's more than a war zone. You know, it just don't make a bit of sense to me that their law enforcement don't contain it.
Absolutely. Jerry,
you know, they've got a few thousand police officers there. They need a few thousand more.
Well, I think that they need a complete, I don't want to use the word revolution, but I would say an upheaval of what's being done versus what's not being done, do the pros and cons, and make a positive and a negative checklist and get in there and clean that mess up.
Well, that's about any city the Democrats run.
Amen.
It just seems to go downhill.
Amen.
More slum than good.
Amen.
And it's too bad. It just happens.
Jerry, God bless you, man.
Your way, you have a wonderful day. May the Lord bless.
He has with friends like you. Thank you, my dear friend. Appreciate that. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I've got to tell you about our dear friends. I'm stalling here a little bit. I knocked everything over, and I have a slight... No, it's not slight. It's a big mess. Stand by, caller. I'm a-coming. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley and 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and the Nampa location. Oh, they've got the big Doosan loaders. They got all the big Doosan equipment. Woo-hoo. Big, strong, and tough to get the job done. They've got all the Bobcat excavators, new and used excavators for sale or rent, all shapes and sizes. Oh, you say, I've never run one. Well, not to worry. They've got a big sandbox out behind the business. They'll teach you before you take it home for the task that you have. So please get a hold of them today. Whether you need equipment rentals or retail equipment sales, they will help you. Barry Equipment and Rental, Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. You get a hold of them today. Caller, I thank you for calling in. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Zeb. I think as far as Chicago goes, I think what would be a good idea for them is to create kind of a task force that, you know, all they do is look for these gang members. You know, as far as, you know, detectives and officers and stuff like that, and just kind of try to thin them out, because that's where the problem lies, is with all these damn gangs that have infiltrated the area. And, like you say, Rahm and his lack of respect for the police.
It's almost like, and I like your concept on this, but it's almost like the mayoral office of Rahm Emanuel and the city leadership. They're safe and secure in their chambers. They're safe and secure in their homes that might be out in suburbia. They're not concerned about the death, the killing, the robbing, the drugs, etc. in their inner city as long as it doesn't affect them. Well, it needs to affect them. They need to be on the hook and know that they're going to be thrown out of office. They're not going to have anything to do with Chicago politics again if they don't get in there and do the job of cleaning things up and making it safe for families to allow a child to go into a store or a school without being mugged or robbed.
Nope, I agree 100%. I mean, you listen to the news, and they're talking about people are afraid to leave their homes, afraid to go to school or anything else. That's just terrible.
How would you, now, I'm assuming that you live in Burley area, is that right, or Rupert or whatever?
Actually, Kimberly.
Oh, Kimberly, good to have you on the phone. Okay, that's a good analogy right there. Kimberly being almost a bedroom community to Twin Falls, a larger population city. How would you like it to get up in the morning and have to make plans with your neighbor literally to watch your back as you run out to your car, try to get it started, get out of your neighborhood without being shot?
Oh, that'd just be terrible. I mean, it's taking away your freedom.
What freedom can be obtained or achieved by anyone when they live in fear 24/7 in this, the greatest country of them all, the United States of America? What needs to happen today, and I'm going to take up with what you said just a minute ago. What needs to happen today? There needs to be a march on City Hall in Chicago. There needs to be demands. None of these form letters, none of these phone calls. It's got to be a civil disruption of what's going on in Chicago. Rahm Emanuel's office door needs to be taken off the hinges so that he'll pay attention to the general public, and things need to happen now.
No, that's true. You need to get their attention for damn sure.
God bless you for your call, my friend. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Nice man. Don't forget Sophie's Cookies. Ooh, and Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. My goodness sakes. The best doggone restaurant. The best doggone bakery. Delicious. They can even make wedding cakes. Beautiful wedding cakes. You're going to love it. Sophie's Chatterbox, 530 East Street in Rupert. Delicious. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. This is a yummy man from Senior Junction on South Overland.
When are you going to take your car down and have a decal printed on the door that says Yummy Man?
It's too late for that.
Okay.
We're going to have turkey dressing, his birthday anniversary dinner, and all the trimmings, and probably have some yummy cake today, not tomorrow.
Okay.
We're going to have chicken salad sandwich, or chicken salad with potato salad, and I guess we must be having yummy dessert because I don't know.
Oh, my goodness. There he is, the Yummy Man, here on the air. And by the way, Joe, tell everybody if they'd like to have a takeout meal prepared for them and all they have to do is stop in and get it. What's the telephone number?
Just call 208-878-8646 and make a request, and it's the best lunch in town.
Joe, we appreciate you.
Have it ready for you at noontime.
Okay.
And they serve up until 1 o'clock. Now, everybody's welcome. You don't have to be a senior to come and enjoy a delicious meal.
All right, Joe Taylor, known as the Yummy Man, telling us all about the Senior Junction on Overland. God bless you, Joe. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
Same to you.
All right, my friend. There's a nice man. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, a lot of people don't realize how insidious, evil, and demeaning the left is currently. I have no use. I don't care if this offends somebody. I'm going to tell the truth. I have no use for what I think is the evil left. I'll give you an example. Pastors, ministers of various churches met with Donald Trump in the White House not too long ago. Maybe you saw some of the news clips. They were sitting there with the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and they were trying to find a common ground and solutions to a lot of the problems in their respective communities. And some of the ministers and pastors from Chicago were there also. Now, that's a good thing. That is a good thing so that you can get involved with the presidency of the United States. You can get involved with what you need and what you are looking for to help solve civil problems in this country. But no, the evil left, the absolute evil left, has gone after those ministers, after those pastors of those various churches, denounced them, demean them, and absolutely have said vile, dirty things about them because they went to visit with President Donald Trump. The left hates Trump so bad, and let's call it again, the Democrats hate Trump so bad and his administration that they will come out and they will vilify good people, ministers, pastors, church leaders, community leaders that want to make things better for everybody that lives in those respective areas, but the left can't stand it because they hate Donald Trump. They hate any success that his administration must have or might have. And so, therefore, they will demean and they will destruct anything that might be better. How evil is that? And they want to regain power. They want to have a blue wave. Are you kidding me? Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Well, these people are not only they're carrying out the Saul Alinsky rules for radicals. And of course, Saul Alinsky was dedicated his book to Satan, Lucifer, and that's who they are. And we have to realize what the enemy is. I have so many friends that said, give them a benefit of the doubt. By their actions you shall know them. And when they do the things that they're doing, killing babies, they want to take away our guns so we can be defenseless and form a dictatorship. It's all about control. Control in the hands of a very few elitists. Look what's happened in Venezuela. Look what's happened in past history in Cuba. You just go down the list. Zimbabwe, where they had a great government down there, and fed Africa, and now they can't even feed themselves. So it's all about bringing in socialism. And this Paulette Jordan, a progressive conservative, give me a break.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. We have plenty of those in the Republican Party called rhinos and neocons. But it's just a matter that we've got, as Christians, we've got to get out beyond just our church work, get involved. This close election in Ohio should be an indication that the other side is going to mobilize, and I'm sure they are going to cheat, steal, but the end justifies the means, and there's so much voter fraud in the past elections. I can imagine they're really gearing up for a lot more people voting that have died a long, long time ago, as happened.
Well, let me jump in here for a minute. Let me jump in. What you're just saying about voter fraud and other mechanisms for the left to take over or try to regain power. It was very apparent this last week when I read that quotation by Peter Fonda, a grade Z actor that tries to follow in his footsteps of his father, Henry Fonda, when he said that Democrats and liberals need to go out and do all they can, even if it means creating and promoting voter fraud to put Democrats back in position. This is really scary to me because the left will do anything, illicit, illegal, or evil, to regain power.
Well, Satan will do anything he can to get your soul, and the soul of our country is that, we're basically, George Mason said, if we stop worshiping Jesus Christ, the Lord of the land, we would see natural calamities, and we're seeing that with floods in one place, fires in another, and we've stopped worshiping Jesus as the Lord of the land, and we're now worshiping, I guess, whatever, but we're adopting socialism piecemeal, and thank God for, President Trump. He's almost been doing it single-handedly with a handful of people to help him, but, we've got too many Republicans that are in the establishment. The deep state is there and very well entrenched, and we can certainly see that, and it's just hard to root these people out. But I'm with you. The voter fraud thing scares me as much as anything.
Yeah, I mean, if they're going to make comments,
in Idaho, up Blaine County in the past.
Well, hang on just a second. Adrian, if they're going to make blatant statements, and Peter Fonda's only one person, and somebody might say, oh, that's just Peter Fonda, he smoked too much marijuana. No, this is the added concept of a lot of people, not only in California, but also in the Midwest and also on the East Coast, that they haven't been able to win in an honest measure, so they'll take up fraudulent means. Adrian, I got to get a commercial in here. Thank you for your call this morning.
Be on our toes, and folks, get involved and get hold of your people and friends around the country, because if the Democrats take over Congress, it's going to be really difficult for us. Anyway, thank you very much.
All right. God bless you, Adrian. Thank you. Don't forget, last night, Tuesday night, started the Jerome County Fair and Pro Rodeo. It was the first performance last night. Oh, it's a good one. You don't want to miss it. Tonight, tomorrow night, PRCA rodeo action at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo for 2018. Don't forget, get to the gate and be ready to go at 7 o'clock at night. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And on Friday night, they've got a great big concert. This is going to be a ripping good concert with Jesse G, country artist, and it starts at 7 p.m., and it's going to be military night. Bring your military ID and get in for free. At the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo, lots of things going on. You go over to Jerome. Want to also thank our dear friends with Stoats Equipment. Oh, my goodness. Vic was on the program yesterday. Does a great job. Stoats Equipment, your John Deere dealer. I love my John Deere tractor. I'm a greenie. Yes, sir. Well, to a certain extent. But you know what I mean. 119 Overland and Burley, they make your life easier. Oh, yeah. All the John Deere equipment, I'm telling you. And they provide Ag Minutes on Tuesdays at 9:46. All the Ag events and people. Stoats Equipment Company. I tell you, they really serve you. Your John Deere dealer at 119 Overland in Burley. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The quotation that I read at the opening of this hour really falls into what we're saying this morning. Thomas Sowell, American economist and political commentator, back in 1930. I'm going to read the quote again and see exactly how it fits in today. Much of the social history of the Western world over the past 3 decades has been a history of replacing what worked with what sounded good. There it is. It's all encapsulated into that phrase. Right now, the Bernie Sanders. Right now, the Ocasio-Cortezes. Right now, the Cynthia Nixons. Right now, the Cory Bookers are out there preaching, we've got to go to socialism. Why? It'll make the world a better place. No, it won't. It'll destroy the best country in the world. These people are nincompoops. And believe me, with a wide array of other terminology that could be used out of my cowboy mouth, I kept it very clean. These people are evil. These people are preaching what to them sounds good, but it's evil. Socialism is absolutely contemptuous against people trying to make a living, trying to use the talents that God gave them, and trying to raise a family in a moral and civil environment. If you want to see and you want to live in a complete upheaval of a decent country, the United States, then go ahead put those people in office. And I don't want to sit here and say, I told you so, because I think you'll tell yourself. Time for the weather. And the weather brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. These two doctors, Dr. Pickup and Dr. Mitchell, are absolutely committed to your hearing health. And you can trust your hearing health to these folks. They're located right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And the number to make an appointment to check on your hearing health, 312-0957. Call them today. Right now, Wheels with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Wednesday, and we are still expecting that haze to stick around due to all of the area wildfires. Sunny skies for today and a high of 93. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 58. Tomorrow, even warmer. Sunny, hazy, high of 96 with an overnight low of 60. By Friday, we are expecting 100 degrees, so please make sure that you're able to keep yourself cool on that day. For Friday night, looks like clear skies with a low of 63. Then for Saturday, winds are picking up just a little bit, knocking down the temperature to about 89. And then as we look ahead towards Sunday, sunny skies and upper 80s. That's your weather forecast for Zep at 3.
Thank you. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they are the people to contact for your hearing health. Make an appointment today, 312-0957. I want to preface this next little story by saying I have not verified all the instances in the story. So I'm telling you right up front, I don't know if everything is A-OK and legit with this, but it sounds to me like it is. Supposedly, not too long ago, a diminutive, bit my tongue twice, diminutive black man in his 80s was standing being interviewed by a news reporter. And he was being asked about baseball today as compared to 30, 40, 50 years ago. And again, supposedly and allegedly, there were some younger generation millennials standing not too far away that were watching this interview. And when the interview was completed, one kind of a cocky little big mouth said to the black man, "What do you know about baseball 40, 50 years ago as compared to today?" That diminutive black man said he knew quite a bit about it. And they scoffed at him. That black man happened to be the great Willie Mays. Sometimes the younger generation today, because of a lack of education, a lack of respect, a lack of really understanding and trying to pursue their own knowledge about various subjects, whether it's baseball, whether it's farming, whether it's whatever. They scoff at those that might be a little long in the earlobe and gray on the head. What do you know about it? And in this particular case, it happened to be one of the greatest baseball players ever in the history of Major League Baseball, Willie Mays. Again, story was passed to me by a person out of California that I trust, and I think he's telling it straight. But regardless of whether all the facts are on that story or not, it's happened to many other people. What do you know about it? And rather than pursue the knowledge themselves, the younger generation seems to deride and dismiss a lot of us that now are in the category of has-beens. But in the case of these kids, many of them never will. Thoughts? Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. California high school boy thrown out of his high school class. Why? What did he do? Well, he showed up at school wearing a T-shirt. He got thrown out of school for that? No, it was an NRA T-shirt with a picture of the American flag on it. And the teacher didn't like that. And the teacher, before she threw him out of class, said, "You must give a speech why guns are bad." Well, we're going to be hearing a little bit more on this story in the near future as to what kind of repercussions are going to fall on the teacher and throwing this kid out of school for doing nothing wrong. He had a T-shirt on that said the NRA and the American flag. Of all the vile, filthy, and I mean that filthy, slogans and sayings and drawings on T-shirts today that kids are wearing to school, and this one had nothing more on it than a flag and the letters NRA, to throw this kid out of school, but before you throw him out of school, to embarrass him and make him stand up and give a speech, why guns are bad and ugly. That's disgusting. All because this teacher had an opinion. All because this teacher had a slant against a major portion of our society. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Oh, do you know who Bill Nye the Science Guy is? I kind of halfway covered this story a little bit ago, about 3-4 months ago, but now it comes back again. Bill Nye the Science Guy said, quote, that people must die before climate science is going to progress. What? I'm not kidding. People must die before climate science is to progress. In other words, he meant like the older generation, us'uns, you know, us that are with gray mustaches and thinning hair. We must die before the younger generation that is brainwashed, literally, can take over, and then climate science, or the idiocy of climate science, can reign supreme. Oh boy. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. If you hear noise in the background, it's because we have a representative here to look at our computer and why it is not working, etc. And I want to thank those folks with CenturyLink for being right here. And so thank you very much. We've had the weirdest thing. The home computer has decided to die, but my computer for the radio program is working and functioning quite properly. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget, if you're getting ready for a road trip, you got to stop in and see your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations with the best of tires to make sure that you're going to go to point B from point A, turn around and come back to point A safely. If you're getting all set to have a road trip with the kids before school starts, man, you've got everything packed, the suitcases, you've got the binoculars, the cameras. Make sure the tires are good. Yep, stop and take a look. And if you need new tires, many of which are on sale right now at all 7 locations. All you got to do is just drive in and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Randy on Overland in Burley. The absolute best, with also your brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and so much more, with your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. What have we got cooking next hour? We've got Indiana. Dave Bigo coming on the phone from Indianapolis. And then we're going to jump down to Florida at 9:30 for one of my favorite guests, and that's Dan Perkins. At 10:06 this morning, we're going to be talking to Ryan Samples with the Cassia County Fair. And then at 10:32, I cannot wait to visit with Megan Barth down in Las Vegas. She's going to be answering questions about why with a lot of unanswered questions about what happened with the mass shooting in Las Vegas. Why, without these answers and without the evidence, did the Las Vegas police say the case is closed? We're going to find out about that coming up in the next couple of hours. Let's see, what else have I got cooking here? Deanne, did we have any public service announcements that we needed to get on? I mentioned that happy anniversary today to Lyndon and Bertha Wood. Hope it's a fantastic day. And I think with that, we're going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studio to take us up to CBS News. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Oh, good morning, and welcome back to Zeb at the Ranch with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. I had to chuckle there because I adjusted my headsets and I let one end go and about caved my head in. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, if you're getting ready for a road trip, you got to stop and see them, please. And also some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And right now, without further ado, let's have this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and I'm going to tell you this, simply put, all you need to do is call the number 734-6969. Say, I want to get on the route service. I want to get rid of my garbage. They will help you out. Please, we've been on the route service for many, many years. Excellent service, great people. Don't forget to call 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Also, coming up and starts actually this Saturday night with a concert, but the Cache County Fair and Rodeo is coming up this next week. Don't forget some of the great businesses that invite you to be a part of the fair. Magic Valley Irrigation with Jeff and the crew at 44 East, 500 South of Burley. Number to call, 678-3101. And they've been offering irrigation system service and repair since 1978. Magic Valley Irrigation, along with Pickett Equipment Company at 976 East Main in Burley. Holy moly, the most innovative edible bean harvesting equipment in the world. Give Brady Olson a call at Pickett Equipment today. And also Dot Foods, 1541 West 27th Street in Burley. What a great business, and they want the community to come together, work together, better for everyone. Dot Foods, thank you very much. And Perkins Bakery and Restaurant at 800 North Overland in Burley. Lots of parking for trucks and trailers. Go to the fair, stop over there and eat. Perkins Bakery and Restaurant serving you. Wow, great people all set for the big Cache County Fair and Pro Rodeo. And don't forget, too, I know some other folks that are making sure that you want to take care of your animals, and that's Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. Oh, yeah. Good luck to all the 4-H and FFA kids out there, they say. And don't forget this weekend, it's going to be hot. I mean hot. Friday, we might see triple digits and over. So be careful with your dogs and kitty cats. Don't take them to town. It's too hot. Leave them at home with plenty of water and air. Message from Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Hayburn, 678-1177, where they have the warm hearts for the cold noses. Right now, my old friend, Dave Beagle, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing fine. How you doing?
Well, not too bad. I wanted to start the program off this morning with a little bit of fear and trepidation that I'm feeling personally, and have you respond to it. I think the way things are going right now in this country, and I mean this, I've studied all the different stories, I've read the different news accounts, I've talked to a lot of people that have written some of the news stories. I think the left in this country is too much to be feared right now, because I don't think that they're going to stop. Violence, chaos, injury, maybe even death. I am very afraid of the left. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, Zeb, I've talked about this a lot, that the left wants to bring this country down, and they're not going to stop. They're going to continue to use their Alinsky-style tactics against us, and, the rest of us have to stand up and have some backbone and go after them. And they're using all these people like, Rosie O'Donnell. They're getting into her head. She's kind of flaky anyway.
Oh yeah.
And the kid that went into after. I'm trying to think of what it was. Trump after something the other day. About his that he's doesn't like black people and stuff like that. And he went on a rant about that. And these people, and that was part of Black Lives Matters, which is been financed by the SEIU behind the scenes, the union I beat. They're going to continue this stuff, Zeb, and we just need to understand that, and we need to stand up and professionally show that they are lying and not telling the truth. And I think it's working, because more and more Democrats that I talk to are starting to move away from that side of the party.
Well, let's look at it this way. I'm going to say this, and I've said it before on my program. Black lives do not matter any more than any other life. Life is so precious. I am sick and tired of trying to single out their organization or their group of being associated with such violence and chaos as Antifa, etc. I'm sick of this kind of thing. And, like the pastors that met with President Trump in the White House not too long ago, the pastors from Chicago and other various cities, sitting there trying to come up with answers as to how they can make their community and their surroundings and their environment better places. But the left and the Democrats came out and vocalized against these pastors and demeaned them because they were meeting with President Trump. This is sick.
It is, but this is who they are, and you just have to understand that. But, in places like Chicago, they're getting tired of the stuff and the murders and everything, and they're going after Emanuel, wanting him pulled out of office there. They're beginning to realize that the far left, which the mayor there is part of, aren't doing the right things for America, for blacks, all races and religions and stuff like that. And I actually think, Zeb, it's good that they continue some of this stuff, because I think people are waking up.
Well, I agree with the waking up part, Dave, but now we're talking about Rahm Emanuel, not that many miles up the road from where you're sitting right now. How, and I mean this, how could he possibly win re-election to that mayor's position in Chicago with a lack of respect, a lack of caring, and a lack of doing anything to protect people in his city?
He won't, and there's actually a police officer that a commander that's now going to run against him in that, and because they're tired of that stuff too. So and we've had a lot of on our radio and TV stations down here in Indianapolis. They've had a lot of interviews with people up in Chicago and black people and white people and everybody, and they're all tired of it, and they're tired of And here's the really strange thing, and this is what people really got to step back and think about, is that the Democrats on the far left are they want gun control and that, and you look at Chicago and Illinois, who are gun control states and cities, and there's more murders there than just about any place else in the country.
Yep.
And that tells you that they really don't care about the people. It's just all their ability to put us in a position where we can't fight back.
My heart goes out to the people in Chicago. I've been there many, many times. I know the area, just like you. And I'm not going to put a color on this thing. I don't care if your skin is brown. I don't care if your skin is black. I don't care if your skin is white. These are people. These are people that have children. These are people that have elderly grandparents. These are people that are afraid to go out their door. They're afraid to go to the store. They're afraid to let their kids go play. All because of the chaos and the crime and the absolute violence that's going on back there that's not being addressed by a mayor. That they should go down to City Hall today. And they should rip the door off that office and demand that Emmanuel get something started and done.
Well, I agree with you, and they have to go after him, and these type of tactics. And we have some Republicans that use some of these too. But these tactics on either side of the aisle, especially the far left, they've got to be addressed, and we've got to go after them and stop them from doing this stuff. And again, I talk about this all the time. You got to have a backbone to do it, and a lot of people aren't willing to stand up and look these people in the face and call them out for who they really are and what they're really doing and their lies and misinformation and that. Again, what the left is doing is all Saul Alinsky tactics, just like the SEIU used against me. And I don't know if I ever told you this, but actually, after I beat them, I actually got a copy of their campaign manual to go after employers and force unionize their people. And they actually in there really talk about using Saul Alinsky tactics.
Yep.
And this is what the left is all about.
Yeah, but the thing is, Dave, you know as well as I do, and I'm not going to mince any words, the left and many Democrats are adding fuel to the fire. And the only reason they're adding fuel to the fire is they don't want to see something better for the city of Chicago. They don't want to see the city of San Francisco cleaned up. They don't want to see anything good while Trump is in office because they hate Trump and they will do anything they can to be negative.
Well, that's exactly right. And anything to win. It's all about them winning and the other side losing. And that's what they're going to do, especially, again, as we've talked about, with the elections coming up here in November. And I've said over and over again on your show and talking to other people that it's going to get worse between now and November 6th.
I don't know how much more the American public can take, or is the American public in general, I'm not saying all, but are they so immune to what's going on now because it's a nightly visit to the NBC, CBS, and ABC News that they're just kind of being calloused and they're not worried anymore? What's going on?
No, I actually think a lot of them are ignoring it and they're moving on. And I got a thing yesterday here in Indiana where they talked about, they had a map of people that live in areas. It's kind of an interesting map where you have, bus routes and other type of means of getting people to work and stuff like that. And what they were basically saying in doing this was that these people were from a lower class that couldn't afford their own vehicles and stuff like that. But what they showed is that in these areas, Trump got more votes out of these people than the Democrats did.
Yeah.
And that it's continuing to go in that direction, which is kind of interesting. It's telling you that people at all levels in this country are waking up to the fact that, Trump is returning us to a capitalistic free market society, and that's what really works. That's what made us the greatest country in the world, and why people have opportunity. Wages are going up, jobs, we're continuing to create jobs across the country. I mean, it's hard to find employees right now because the unemployment rate is down so much.
Yeah.
And these are the great things that people are seeing, and they're making more money and they have more opportunity and stuff like that. And and they on the other side, the Democrats, the gal in New York and that they want to talk about socialism. Well, my comment on that is take a look down at Venezuela.
Yep. No question about it. I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, and I don't mean to, but I think it's worthy of the discussion. Where did the city of Indianapolis get its name? Is it true that it was after a chief called Indianapolis, an Indian chief? Tell me, please.
Zeb, I don't remember the exact. I don't think it was after a chief. I think it was just because Indiana was a big Indian area, and when we went through the wars and that, and when we finally became a state, they named Indiana, and I think they just when Indianapolis was not the original capital. The original was down in southwest Indiana. And when they moved up to Indianapolis, they just took Indiana and just added the polis to it.
Okay. The reason I asked, and it was not to embarrass or diminish anything with you, it was the fact that everybody in this country should be aware and cognizant of a group of people or groups of people that consider themselves the social elites that are going around in condemnation saying, that city's got to change its name. I can't refer to history that way. And it could refer to like Jackson, Mississippi, Madison, Wisconsin, or even Washington, D.C. Yesterday, I was appalled on my program when I learned that these so-called do-gooders are after Austin, Texas, because Stephen F. Austin, 180 years ago, was involved in having some slaves on his plantation ranch. This is nuts.
It is, and you got these people going back and pulling this stuff out of history and that, trying to use it as tactics against, the other side, and trying to get people to understand that, the far left really knows what they're doing and all that kind of stuff. And again, I went through all the same stuff when the SEIU attacked me and my companies. They used the same type of things against us that, we were bad people, we had a bad history, and, we were racist, and it just went on and on and on. And this is what they do. And I'm telling you, and I'm telling your listeners, the way you have to address it is you have to stand up to them and expose who they really are and their lies and their misinformation and the fact that all these promises they're making, they really don't care about whether they get you the promises or not. It's all about them getting the votes so they can be in control.
Absolutely. I want you to quickly discuss with me your thoughts about the possibility that a man by the name of David Garcia in Arizona might win the governorship in Arizona. He's a Democratic gubernatorial candidate, and he is the guy that's coming out and saying, imagine no borders. Imagine everybody coming in without any harassment or any walls to climb. Imagine a free society. And I'm imagining this guy ought to be thrown in jail for being against the United States and our taxpayers.
Well, yeah, it's always scary, and the scary part about Arizona right now is that there's a lot of division in the Republican Party, with McCain being involved and other people out there, and the Democrats are really going after him, using the same type of dirty tricks and everything that they use elsewhere, and the Republicans, in response, are doing some of the same crazy things to try and win these positions, and so I think it's kind of scary where it's going. I think the Republicans ought to stand up and be professional and expose him for what he really is and the tactics that they're doing. And I think they'd have a better chance of winning. But we'll see. They're really going after it out there. The Republican Party is a divided party right now.
Oh, and therein lies another part of the equation that I wanted you to talk about this morning. Wheels, there's a little feedback on the line, please. The Republicans are not without my disdain. And I mean this. The party of not doing anything, the party of kind of sticking their nose up in the air and just plowing ahead whether or not their constituents want them to do this or that. I really think the Republicans need a good slap in the face, but my concern is that we'll get stuck with the Democrats that are going to lead us back to a road that I don't think we can ever get off once they take power again.
Well, yeah, I think you're right about that. And what you have to do is you have to have a real face-to-face with these people when you get a chance to. And if they're in your area, take the opportunity to go talk to them and expose them for what they are. And we need more and more people to do that. You're Republicans, you're supposed to be representing us in this way, and you need to stand up and have some backbone and do these things and move us forward in the right direction, just like Trump is doing. And the one thing about Trump is he needs to, again, he's getting off the road a little bit. He needs to polish himself back up again. But you need to stay professional in that, but you need to address them and let them know that you're not going to back down.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you, as kind of a wrap-up, we've got 2 minutes left. What are your thoughts about the upcoming NFL season and Roger Goodell and the National Football League and kind of a wimpy approach to dealing with these athletes kneeling or sitting during the national anthem?
I think we're going to see a lot less attendance and interest in the NFL this year. And I'm glad you brought that up because that reminded me, we have season tickets to the Indianapolis Colts, and the gal that takes care of that for us here at our office, she hasn't come into me. Usually by now, everybody's asked for the seats for all the games, and they want it taken care of by now, and that's for the whole season. And we haven't even got to that point yet, and that shows that our people aren't even interested in the NFL. And I think we're going to see that across the country.
So you feel, kind of as a synopsis, that we haven't even seen the tip of the iceberg against the NFL. If they have another season of sitting and kneeling, it could be a death knell for the NFL for the upcoming season in 2019.
Oh, absolutely. And I think Goodell and the owners got to stand up and have some backbone. Because, again, you look at it, and I hate to go back to the unions, but the union is the one behind this that continues to force this thing, and the players have the right to do this and that. And it's time for them to stand up and the union say, we're not going to put up with you anymore. We're not going to do it. We're not going to sign off on it. And the players that don't agree with our terms, they're not going to be playing.
Absolutely. Boy, I've enjoyed our conversation this morning. To my dear friend Dave Beagle back in Indianapolis, Indiana, God's blessings. I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll talk to you next Wednesday.
Well, thank you, and you have a wonderful week, too. Look forward to it.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Dave Beagle, I just really think a lot of that man. He's been a good friend on this program for a long, long time. Holy moly. Let's remind you on Thursdays, we have a special segment put on by Intermountain Cassia Regional Hospital. That's right. Cassia Regional Hospital providing you and your family excellent health care, answers, and services. Your friends, your neighbors, Cassia Regional Hospital, quality care close to home. And at 9:17 on Thursdays, we have a chance to meet some of these great people from Cassia Regional Hospital. Tune in at 9:17 on Thursdays. Really good folks. I want to also remind you when I talk about good folks, I want to always put in Joel Heward, his family, and his staff at Hanson Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert. They care. They care, and they're involved in the community. And when they work with you and your family when there's the passing of a loved one, always with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. I urge you to call 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward. And Joel also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Wow, in just a few minutes, we're going to have another real good friend of this program on the air, Dan Perkins. I know Wheels is getting him on the phone probably right now, and we want to urge you to go to, while you have the opportunity, during Fair Week, you're going to be in town. You need to stop in to Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Jeff and the entire crew at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More there to serve you at 459 Overland in Burley. My goodness sakes, they're having a great big mattress sale, and they've got all kinds of great deals on their furniture. You know, if you need to beautify and comfortize, is that a word? We just made it. Comfortize your home. All you need to do is just stop in and check out all the great purchases and all the great carpet at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. 459 Overland and Burley. Jeff and the rest of the crew, they know, and they can help you at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Wow, we're just about a minute away from getting Dan Perkins on the air, and I want to remind everybody, too, about Let's Ride. You need to get outside. You need to get away from your office. You need to go away from home and just get up in the hills and go, wow, Idaho is beautiful. Well, do that on an ATV from Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. They're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays, 9 to 4. My goodness, they've got all the ATVs. My goodness, they're having a big blowout sale right now on watercraft. And they've got that brand new, oh, buddy, Maverick Sport side-by-side. Big, fancy. Look out. It's really something at Let's Ride. 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. This is where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. Let's go to the phone line right now. And a gentleman that has been a good friend of this program for quite some time. And he's a registered investment advisor with over 40 years of investment experience. Boy, do I need to talk to him. Dan Perkins, how are you?
I'm fine. Always a pleasure to be with you, sir.
Dan, are you, as we call right now, you're down in Florida, is that correct?
Actually, right now I'm in New Jersey, and I was this past weekend, was in Columbus, Ohio with my wife and family celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary.
Well, congratulations. My lovely bride and I are going to be celebrating 47 years this coming November, so you're a little bit ahead of us.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We had all of our children and grandchildren and an extended family with us, and we went back to the church that we got married in and exchanged vows again, and broke bread together and played games and had a lot of fun. It was good to be together.
Wonderful, and congratulations to both of you. Dan, of course, is an outstanding author of many, many books, and I just have the highest regard for his talent and ability. Dan, I got to ask you, I'm starting to really feel the pinch of the pennies at the pumps. I have a diesel outfit. I travel approximately maybe 100 to 150 miles a day, and with diesel going up now to about $3.66 a gallon, it's getting a little tough, Mr. Perkins.
Well, let me ask you, what's the highest you ever paid?
I think it was $4 1/4.
$4 1/4.
I think.
That was probably in 2014 under Obama?
I believe it was, yes, sir.
Okay. So it's an issue, and it's an issue that has two sides to it, Deb. The first side is that the price of any commodity is a function of supply and demand. And when we had Barack Obama in the White House, we had probably, over the 8 years, less than a 2% annual GDP. And except for that one spike in 14, it had pretty good oil prices. In fact, in November of 2014 is when OPEC started to attack the American oil industry and pumped millions and millions of barrels that drove the gasoline prices and diesel prices. I don't know what it got down to in your area, but we got gasoline prices down to about $1.67 down in Southwest Florida.
Right.
But what we have now is an economic recovery going on in the United States, where GDP was, the first report of GDP a couple of weeks ago was 4.1%. There'll be two more adjustments, one at the end of August and one at the end of September. I suspect that by the time we get to the final adjustment, we may see close to 4.5% GDP. We haven't seen that kind of level of GDP in almost 30 years, any sustainable level. So when I say it's a two-edged sword, we've got the economy starting to hum, and I think it's going to get even stronger, which means there's going to be demand for more resources, and with more demand, if supply isn't keeping up with demand, prices are going to rise. But the other side of the coin, the plus side, is that if we have 4 to 4.5% or 5 to 6% GDP, which I think we're going to be probably by the third quarter of 2019, a lot of us are going to have a lot more money in our pockets. And a lot of us already have more money in our pockets because of the tax bill that was passed last October, went into effect this year. So while it's painful, or it seems to be painful, you have to put it in perspective. And let me take a page from the Democrats. The Democrats are talking about how people are hurting and they're not taking vacations because of the price of energy. Now, I don't know what the range is on your truck, and I don't know what your miles per gallon is. But I went to the Department of Transportation and found out that the average mileage for cars on the road today is about 22 miles to the gallon. And if I was going to take a 2-week vacation, what I've found out from the Auto Club is that the average drive to get to the vacation is about 2 days and 2 days to get back. So I looked at the price of gasoline. I looked at how much gasoline you'd use at 22 miles to the gallon, traveling 2 days. And what I figured out is that over a 2-week period of time, that take your vacation might cost you $45 to $50 more for the vacation. I believe that Americans feel better about their prospects today than they have in 8 years, maybe 10 years. And so an extra $40, $50 to take the vacation, not that big a deal.
Dan, I go along with almost everything that you said, and Wheels, I need, when Mr. Perkins is talking, I need you to raise him up a little bit, please, Wheels, over at the station. But everything is basically on a ladder system, climbing up each rung. If gas is higher, hotel rooms are higher. If hotel rooms are higher, food is going to be higher, eating out. All of it is retroactive upon the price of the pump, so everything is inflationary due to the price of that gas.
But I would say to you, where's the inflation as it measured by the CPI? It's not there. In fact, now the discussion is where the economists were suggesting that the Fed was going to be very concerned about inflation because of rising energy prices. As productivity has increased, as more people have gone to work, the Fed is now saying, well, wait a minute, maybe we don't have to raise interest rates as far as we thought. And as a result, you're probably going to see some rollback in some of the prices of the things that you talked about, because a lot of that was anticipation of higher inflation, and that hasn't materialized. I'm not saying it can't, but right now the economists are backing off to an inflation rate below 2%, which means the Fed shouldn't have to raise interest rates. And I think that'll take some of the pricing pressure out of the economy. A lot of this was anticipation of, it's like the trade tariffs, Zeb. Everybody thought that people were buying all these commodities in advance of the trade tariffs and that we're going to be in a trade war. And in reality, what Mr. Trump did was to say to the world, we want free and fair trade. And fair trade is important. And so he didn't start a trade war. He basically said, I want to balance the field, and if you're going to charge us more money to export our goods to your country than we are charging you to import your goods, that's got to change. And so a lot of the Democrats were all over Trump saying, well, this is going to lead to inflation, and farmers are going to go bankrupt, and food prices are going to go through the roof, all these things. So what happens 2 weeks ago when the trade minister for the EU comes to the United States and visits with Mr. Trump in the White House? They've decided they're going to cut their tariffs. Now we know that the new president of Mexico, who was a socialist, has now decided he wants to, along with Trudeau from Canada, renegotiate NAFTA to reduce the bilateral tariffs. Now, right now, our largest deficit is with China, about $450 billion a year. Number 2 is Europe at 175. Mexico and Canada are in the top 10. So if we get 3 of the top 10 trading partners to eliminate trade tariffs, and we eliminate ours, we have total free trade. It's going to put an enormous amount of pressure on China to capitulate and do the same thing. what does that mean for Zeb? What does it mean for Zeb's listeners? More jobs, more income, more productivity, a stronger American economy.
Dan, everything you said I agree with, but I want to be a little retroactive and go back to what I was talking about a moment ago, and that's energy. This country has always been on the back of energy to make sure that we are progressive, to make sure that the farmers can get their tractors in the field, to make sure the factories can produce their goods and services. And the one thing we haven't had in this country for a long time that is way overdue, in my opinion, are more refineries to create more of an access to energy. But the environmental movement has stopped it. Can we override that?
Absolutely, we can, and we're going to. You raise a tremendous point. Since you're going to be married 47 years, you and your dear wife know about Jimmy Carter and the Arab oil embargo and what happened to gasoline prices and waiting at the pumps and odd and even rationing and all that crap.
Right.
Because we were dependent, 65% of our energy was dependent upon getting energy from OPEC. In December of 2015, in the omnibus bill, was a provision to lift the restriction of the exportation of crude oil out of the United States. So in 2016, American oil companies could begin to export crude oil around the world. We now will be, by the end of the year, I believe, the largest producer of oil in the world at over 11 million barrels a day. We are now exporting 2 million barrels a day around the world. And so as we get rid of the trade tariffs, what happens is economies will expand, the need for energy will expand, both unrefined and refined product. And by opening up the global markets to American oil and gasoline, we will see the rebuilding or building of new refineries to meet the world demand.
Dan, with that being said, though, and again, bear with me, I'm just a simple old cowboy out in Idaho, but with the United States creating a new energy program that is much stronger and much more reliable for access to the world, aren't we creating possibly a lot of civil unrest and possibly even risking war with the Middle Eastern nations? All they've got to do is export oil. They have nothing else. They can't export sand. Anything else is not happening in the Middle East except the sale of oil. What happens to unrest in the Middle East and possibly war if they're eliminated from the picture?
Well, that's a great question, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond. What's happening in the Middle East is, and let's look at the largest oil producer in OPEC, and that's Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, this is really what we're talking about right now, Zeb, is literally historic. Because Saudi Arabia, which is the largest source of crude oil in the Middle East, has made the decision, the new crown prince, has made the decision that they have to diversify their economy away from oil. And in order to do that, they have to attract Western talent, because the talent that they need to do that diversification does not reside in Saudi Arabia. What does that mean? That means that they have to go to the West to attract the talent to come to Saudi Arabia. Well, husbands will not bring their wives into the kind of culture that exists in Saudi Arabia with the mistreatment of women. So what you're seeing, and you've seen a lot of it so far this year, the Crown Prince is beginning to suspend or eliminate a lot of the restrictions for women. They can drive on their own. They can take off the veil. They can go out on their own. They're trying to westernize the culture because they know they have to do that in order for them to diversify their economy and move away from an oil infrastructure. So that the leading countries in the Middle East already realize that they have to change in order to be able to survive in the real world. with them, I mean, I did a piece on Newsmax, because I write for them and a bunch of other places. Just got a new piece published last week on the American Thinker. But at the Newsmax piece, I talk about one of the things that's most important about energy, Deb, and that is the rig, R-I-G, rig count. This is the number of rigs throughout the world that are drilling to find oil and natural gas.
Mm-hmm.
Before the OPEC nations attacked us in November of 2014, there were 4,000 rigs drilling around the world. As of right now, there are 2,000. Of the 2,000 rigs that are drilling throughout the world, 118 are in Saudi Arabia. North America, United States, and Canada has almost 1,100 of the 2,000 rigs, and we have almost 1,000 rigs drilling in the United States. So the rest of the world is not looking for energy. Why? Because their cost to bring it out of the ground, Zeb, is still greater than what they can sell it for in the marketplace at $70 a barrel. So what we're looking at is we can bring it out of the ground through our fracking system and more efficiency at a much lower cost. We can then be competitive in the world markets against the Middle East, and they know they have to change. And so what you're seeing here, especially in Iran, an upheaval of protest where the people, the common people, are angry and frustrated with the imams and the mullahs who've been in charge of that country, and they see how they squandered the $150 billion that they got, and they're not doing anything. So there are riots and protests all over the country of Iran. And so that civil unrest that you're talking about is already taking place in Iran, and they want a different life. They don't want the Muslim culture, the radical Muslim driven by Sharia and the Quran. They want a more secular, westernized economy and a Western culture. So change is already taking place in the Middle East. It'll take them a long time to diversify away from the oil structure, but by the same token, freedom may be coming to the Middle East, not war.
But conversely, Dan, we in the United States are faced with a problem that is also the possibility of running us off the rails, and that's with the new generation of thinkers in the Democratic Party about trying to have a return, if you will, to socialism in this country. That could derail everything for the future of our economy and the status of our position in the world if we get people like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in power, Cory Booker, etc. We've got some problems here, too.
Well, let me tell you, when we were in Columbus for our anniversary, Columbus is typically a blue state, and most of our family members that live there are Union people or Democrats. And Sunday night, when we were having a pizza around the table with 20 people there, there was a new special election that took place yesterday in Columbus. And it looks like the Republicans going to win, the Trump person. And we were sitting at the table, and we talked about, I raised the question, because they all know that I write and I do radio and on current events. And I said, so what do you think about what's going to happen with the Democratic Party in the midterm election? And these are Democrats who are saying, we're going to get destroyed. I said, why are you going to get destroyed? Because we no longer have control of our party. And the socialists who have an agenda of trying to impeach Trump, they want the crumbs back. They have nothing positive to say about what's going on in our economy and what's happening to people and their livelihood. The fact that black people unemployment rate is the lowest it's been in 40 years. The same thing with Hispanics. We're at 4% unemployment, GDP over 4%. He said, the Democrats, my party, this is what one of them said, my party has no agenda other than socialism, and that's not going to fly. That's not going to fly at the polls in November. Yeah. The Democrats have come off the deep end, and they're trying to convince people, give back the tax cuts, give us the crumbs back so we can spend them on a national level. And you want to provide free college, free Medicare, and free health care for everybody that is going to cost $32 trillion over the next 10 years. Where do you get the money? And They don't seem to have an answer to that question. So I think, Zeb, that the concern that you have, well, I understand it, is such that I believe that the election, in the midterm election, because the Democrats have no agenda and the socialist ideas of the Democratic Party are what's raising up the Democratic Party core, are unacceptable to the vast majority of the American people. I would expect that you're not going to have a blue wave in Congress. I think you're going to have a red wave. We're going to pick up seats in the House. We're going to have probably 56 to 58 senators in the Senate. And so that Mr. Trump is going to get a mandate from the American people again that at the midterm elections they agree with what he's trying to do for the country and reject what the Democrats are trying to do. So I think it's going to be, and I've said this before, that those same group of pundits who will be sitting at the desks in November that sat at the desk in 2016 trying to figure out why Hillary lost are going to be asking the same questions. How is it that we lost even more seats in the House and Senate seats when we were supposed to have this big blue wave? I think it's a fun time, and I'm excited about the election. I think there's a lot more people excited about it than people are given credit for. And, you know, there's only one question, Zeb, that we really have to ask of the American people. When you walk into the voting booth in November, before you pull the lever, ask yourself this question. Are you better off today than you were 2 years ago under Obama?
Absolutely.
If you are, vote Republican.
Yep.
If you aren't, vote Democrat.
Absolutely. Dan, I absolutely cherish the time that you spend with us on our program, your insight, and, of course, you're such a great author with the books called The Brotherhood of the Red Nile Trilogy, etc. Just please come back in the near future because I've got a lot more questions. Dan Perkins, you're always welcome here. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Zeb.
God bless you. And happy anniversary, too, by the way.
Thank you very much.
All right. God bless. Thank you. Dan Perkins, and a good friend of this program, very knowledgeable individual. Glad to have him on the show. Holy smokes, wheels, we're running late. We got to put the weather on here, brought to you by Phillips Oakes, Goodwin, Crane and Company, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years with the best of tax return preparation, tax planning, bookkeeping services, retirement planning, etc. Burley and Rupert locations, Phillips Oakes, Goodwin, Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Wednesday, and we are still expecting that haze to stick around due to all of the area wildfires. Sunny skies for today and a high of 93. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 58. Tomorrow, even warmer. Sunny, hazy, high of 96 with an overnight low of 60. By Friday, we are expecting 100 degrees, so please make sure that you're able to keep yourself cool on that day. For Friday night, looks like clear skies with a low of 63. Then for Saturday, winds are picking up just a little bit, knocking down the temperature to about 89. And then as we look ahead towards Sunday, sunny skies and upper 80s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. And don't forget to get a hold of our friends at Phillips Oakes, Goodwin, Crane and Company, and talk about the new tax rates that have been changed, new deductions, altering some of the old deductions you need to know for your family, your business. Contact them today. Phillips Oakes, Goodwin, Crane and Company. Holy moly, don't want to forget either of our other good friends that we have, Whoa, that's terrible. Anyhow, Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert, 436-4424, the number to call for the best of life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. You need to talk to these people. They are the professionals, dedicated and responsive to your needs. Please give them a call, 436-4424. They're very accessible, and believe me, I know these people. They will help. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. That number again, 436-4424. Really good folks. By the way, we mentioned earlier, and we'll mention again, that the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo is off and running. By golly, they have their professional rodeo midweek, and boy, they draw in a lot of the top world champions and big names in the sport because it's midweek. And it started last night. It goes again tonight and tomorrow night. The PRCA Pro Rodeo at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo for 2018. Then, on Friday night, don't forget, country artist Jesse G live in concert. Going to be fantastic. And Friday night is also military night. If you bring your military ID, you get in for free. Don't forget, all the fun of the great fair at the Jerome County Fair and Rodeo, and the second performance of the Pro Rodeo tonight over at the Jerome County Fairgrounds. Wow, we got a lot of good things going on the program, and I want to reiterate what I heard Gina say, that we may have temperatures Friday exceeding the triple digits. And I'm telling you folks, please take care of yourself, stay hydrated, but also take care of your pets and animals and livestock. Make sure they have plenty of water. Especially for those of you that have the dogs and the kitty cats, make sure that all the water is there and they got shade and they can come in out of that hot sun. And just make sure that all your livestock has adequate supplies of water during these hot days. I got a feeling that this is going to be the last hurrah of really, really hot temperatures. I don't know why I say that, but I just have a feeling that we're going to start to see kind of a downward slide, and I certainly hope so. Let's see, what else have we got cooking here. Next hour, we're going to have Ryan Samples, a good old boy. Yep, Ryan's a good old boy. And he's with the Cassia County Fair, and he's going to discuss all that they've got going on, starting actually this Saturday at the great Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. And then at 10:30 this morning, one of my favorite guests, co-chair of the Media Equality Project, Megan Barth. And believe me, she really is sharp, calling to our program from Las Vegas. Right now, we're going to send it over to Wheels. He's going to carry the ball all the way across the goal line with CBS News. Wheels, take it away. Oh, tighten your cinch up for another hour. Zeb at the Ranch on a Wednesday, August the 8th. Good morning, morning. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Let's see, I've got to remind everybody the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo starts actually this Saturday with a big concert, and many of the top merchants in the area want you to come and attend the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo. AMI 719 Overland in Burley with a big 28-foot wrench over the door that says you'll go nuts over our bolts. Absolutely, they wish you a lot of fun at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo, AMI. Along with Butte Irrigation, 116 South, 600 West, Highway 27 South in Burley. Back up the road a little bit, Zeb. And also the new location on Kimberly Road, north of Kimberly by Red Cap Corner. Butte Irrigation, they absolutely will get you wet. The best at Butte Irrigation. And Mountain Transmissions at 1146 East Main in Burley. Don't forget Rick and the rest of the crew with the greatest technology available to serve you at Mountain Transmissions in Burley. Right now, speaking of Burley, speaking of the Cassia County Fair and Pro Rodeo, we're going to be speaking to a good friend of ours, Ryan Samples, on the fair board. Good morning, Ryan. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing good, Zeb. How are you?
Well, I would imagine you're probably just sitting indoors right now with your feetsies up by the fan, cooling off, nothing to do. Good heavens, it's all done, ready for the fair.
Yeah, we can hope for that, I guess.
Really, I know the opposite. You probably are running around and absolutely you got to do this. You got a to-do checklist. What's happening starting this weekend on Saturday at the Cassia County Fair?
On Saturday night, we're starting off with the concert. the Asleep at the Wheel will be here. They're the opening band, and then Casey Donahue will be right after them. So should be a really good concert.
You know, Asleep at the Wheel, I got to tell you, one of my very favorite groups, and they do a lot of the old kind of a Bob Wills Texas swing music. They're a great act all by themselves. So, boy, the audience has got a chance to listen to two great acts with Asleep at the Wheel and Casey Donahue. How in the world did you ever manage to book both of them?
Well, it took me a while, but I finally got it done. We just had to keep working on them. Luckily, they're en route and passing through, so we could attach the two together.
Well, it sounds like... Now, what about tickets?
Tickets are on sale. You can go online to CashieCountyFair.com and go to buy them, or you can come to the ticket office, which will be open on Wednesday from 10 to 1 today, Thursday from 5 to 7, Friday from 10 to 1, Saturday 12 to 9 is our times for this week so far.
Okay, Ryan. Okay, let's assume that everybody goes to the concert on Saturday night. And now let's assume that Sunday is here, August 12th. What's going to happen on Sunday?
Well, all new for this year, we have a Live a Little Productions is coming to town with their monster truck show. Starts at 4:30, and the show they got a pre-deal at 4:30, and the actual show starts at 6. They're supposed to have monster trucks, lawnmower races. Like you can ride in a big monster truck. They're going to have a tough truck challenge. You can bring your own pickup in, I guess, and run it around the track and hit the holes together.
Now, these monster trucks, and I'm going to ask you if you can hold that cell phone really still because it's fading a little bit at times. Okay. These monster trucks, tell me a little bit about them. I mean, are these the big dudes with like the 12-foot high tires and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, they are. That's what they're bringing to town. The big tires, the big motors. They'll do some jumps, and they'll have the tires. And we talked them into quitting running over cars because we didn't like this stuff they left us afterwards, but they're going to jump over some hay bales or something. They've got some bunch of stuff set up, and obstacle course, and all kinds of stuff coming.
Absolutely. One thing I don't want to forget to mention is I understand that Monday will be actually the first full day of everybody checking in and registering. What do you want people to know about Monday, next Monday, August 13th?
So Monday's, you're going to have to check the website and keep up to date on what's coming in and what's going out. I'm not too up on the open class and the 4-H stuff, but I know most of it starts checking in on Monday, so everybody needs to check the schedule and go to our website, make sure they keep up on it, because there's a lot that's going to happen Monday. We've got the dairy show starts Monday morning, first thing. It goes all day, and then there's actually the dairy heifer sale on Monday night. So
okay,
we encourage people to show up for that.
Now, there's another evening activity starting on Monday, and it's a motorcycle and ATV rodeo. I assume that you're entered, correct?
Oh, yeah, I'm entered, but I'm just watching as an entry. I'm paying my $2.
What happens at these motorcycle and ATV rodeos? Give us an example.
In the past, we've set up kind of a little bit of a racetrack. We've got like pole bending, barrel racing tied together. We run them head to head, so it's kind of an elimination round. You have to keep winning to progress into it. We have all ages, kids to adults. It's a pretty fun time. Everybody brings their own machines and rides them, and we've actually got some jumpers coming again this year that will be doing some tricks and some aerial tricks. They'll be there both nights, so it's a good show. Absolutely.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Ryan. Doesn't it take place on Monday and Tuesday?
Yeah, we switched it to Monday and Tuesday, and probably the only, if everybody wants to complain, it's because of me, because by the time I fix the arena for one, go to team sort and fix it again, so we just moved it to one night. So I only have maybe a little bit less work than this week.
Okay. Now let's scoot on over to Wednesday, and boy, the judging and everything is in full swing, but also on Wednesday of next week, the 15th, the big parade. Tell us where, tell us what time, tell us about it.
The parade starts at 10:30. It's a normal route down Overland Avenue, starting at 27th out by Tires West. Out that way, it goes to Main Street, and then ends up down at the fairgrounds again. I'm not positive on all the entries. I think you just show up with your float. And if you want to be judged, you show up early. If you don't want to be judged, you show up a little later and just go through the parade. But
okay. Now, Ryan, after the parade's over at the fairgrounds, they're right in the middle of the week with all the 4-H open class and the different judging of various categories. But people that want to go out to the fair, maybe they want to sit in the shade a little bit and listen to some entertainment. What about the entertainment this year during the day?
We've got the hypnotist at the pre-stage again. There'll be a hypnotist. I think we've got it. There's a bunch of local people that are going to take part, and there's supposed to be something starting every day. I'm not sure on times, but I know the hypnotist is 3 times a day, probably Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So Wednesday's more of just our local talent. But I'm not. I think they moved it in. It's later in the afternoon, and then 5 o'clock that night the carnival opens, so you can go to the carnival too.
All right. That moves us over to Thursday, and if I'm skipping over something, correct me, but Thursday, of course, Friday, and Saturday night, you've got the PRCA Rodeo. What do you want to highlight on that?
I guess we've got the PRCA Rodeo. We've got on Thursday nights our Man Up Crusade night. It's Purple night, so anybody that shows up wear purple. It's also family night. There's some kids get into the general admission parts for free. And on Friday night we've got the pink night, tough enough to wear pink. There's some other family discounts in the grandstands that night if people want to go for the tickets. And then Saturday night's our Patriot night. We try to honor some veterans and some stuff for that night at the rodeo. But it's always a good show if they want to show up. We got good livestock and should be a good time. Absolutely.
Well, that leads us up to like Friday and Saturday, and I was looking at the list, and what about the pari-mutuel horse racing for this year?
Well, we're hoping to have it again. It's supposed to be Friday and Saturday for sure. Starts at 1. Post times will be at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. We don't know for sure what... We don't find out the races we have until Wednesday of next week, so stay tuned for that one, but we're planning on a good show. Hope that the horses come so we can have some pari-mutuel betting and some races.
Okay, now, Saturday morning is really an important day for all the 4-H and FFA because it's the 4-H and FFA market animal sale. Tell us what's going to happen, starting with the breakfast, etc.
Breakfast is at 7 in the morning. It's there at the pavilion. If you don't have a ticket, show up. They'll still let you eat if you're interested in buying and being a part of the auction. So don't think that you're not invited if you didn't get a letter in the mail or a ticket or anything. Just be great to show up, support the local kids. They got we'll have the sale. I think the sale starts directly at 8 o'clock. It's still going to be in the sale barn inside. We've made some few improvements this year. We're trying to keep it cooler, make it more accessible for everyone, so we can keep the buyers inside.
What did I miss, Ryan? I went over this hastily, but what did I miss that you want to highlight?
Oh, we missed the team sorting on Wednesday night, and that's a new night for that. So I want to make sure we get all the team sorters and all the spectators that are planning on coming Tuesday night. They might be in the motorcycle rodeo. So Wednesday night is going to be our team sorting.
And I understand that in years past, that event has been not only well received and a lot of contestants, but boy, it goes for a long time.
It can go for a long time, yes, we can. But in the past, we've tried to get a few more cattle and try to run it a little more efficiently. So we've actually got done by midnight, I think, in the last couple of years. So it's not too bad. But it's always a good spectator event. It's free of charge. Come down and get something to eat and watch the team sorting, and it'll be great.
You know, Ryan, you've been on the fair board for quite some time. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of effort. What would you like to tell people as to why? Why should they attend the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo?
Oh, geez. It's probably the greatest event in Cassia County.
Okay. That's plain and simple.
Not just because we put it on, but, people get to see their friends and relatives, and There's a lot of class reunions that go on during this time. It's amazing the people that call us a year ahead wanting to know when the fair is going to be.
Well, that is great. Well, listen, I know you're probably going to be on the air with us again in the next couple of days talking about some of the activities. And I certainly want to wish you a lot of luck and success this year at the Cassia County Fair and Rodeo. Ryan Samples, thank you for being on the program this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Zeb. Appreciate your support.
All right, buddy. Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, see you.
Good boy right there. Good old boy. Ryan Samples on the Cassia County Fair Board doing a job in telling you about all the different things that are going to happen this next week at the Cassia County Fair. Don't miss it. All right, it is your turn. Give me a call. I'd love to hear from you at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call on the landline. I'd love to visit with you. Let's see what else have I got. Oh, I want to tell you, too, that on Thursdays, while I'm waiting for your call that I know is coming in, on Thursdays we also have another segment at 10:10, and on Thursdays it's called Cassia County School Days. Excuse me, and our sponsor, of course, A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. Now, remember, they've got all the school clothes ready for you and your children, and it's just kind of like a sidewalk sale inside the store. So stop in and see them today at 1308 Overland. All the games and the puzzles and the toys and the baby clothing and the furniture, it's all there. A family store called A Child's World. 1308 Overland and Burley, helping to sponsor school days in Cassia County right here on this program Thursdays at 10:10. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Couple of news notes I'd like to throw at you. That did you hear that the Kennedy and Clinton banquet has had a name change? Now, remember, this is kind of a Democratic event. The Kennedy-Clinton banquet has had a name change. And now they're going to be calling it the Kennedy-Roosevelt dinner and banquet. Bill Clinton got the boot. Bye, Bill. He's out the door. And who would have thought that Bill and Hillary, the picture and poster people for the Democratic Party for so many years, now would be almost persona non grata. They don't want them. Picture of Hillary, association with Hillary, nope. Bill, And now the name change. Not a subtle thing either. The Kennedy-Clinton banquet, now the Kennedy-Roosevelt dinner. An old board of directors said, Bill, you're out the door. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call, and I'd love to visit with you about anything that is going on right now, so give me a jingle. While I am waiting for your call that I thought would be coming in just a moment ago, I want to remind you about a good friend of mine that has a wonderful business, and he really sells not only camper shells, but service. This man is service-oriented. I'm talking about Anthony at Save on Shells, 1027 Overland in Burley. Now, I'll tell you, I traded pickups. I got a different outfit, and I needed another camper shell that would fit the new truck. Wow, did he come through. Boy, it's beautiful. Great job, Save on Shells at 1027 Overland and Burley. They can custom fit any truck on the road. Don't forget to give them a call, 312-1525. That number again, 312-1525. Anthony at Save on Shells, 1027 Overland in Burley. Really good people. There has been, as you may or may not know, a big discussion about growing crops for ethanol usage. And I was really shocked when I got this report handed to me the other day thanks to my lovely bride, before our computer system burned up. An extensive report from the Environmental Protection Agency. Now listen closely to this. They found that including ethanol into the United States gas supply, they feel is wreaking havoc on the atmosphere and the soils. Whoa! Here they've been advocating more ethanol, hotter blends of gasoline, which are destroying engines. You know, you take like your four-wheelers, you take like your lawnmowers, any of the smaller engines, and the hotter ethanol making that gasoline burn is not good. It has destroyed and damaged a lot of equipment. And in this study titled Biofuels and the Environment, the second triennial report to Congress, they determined that ethanol derived from corn and soybeans is causing serious harm to the environment, water, soil, and air quality. Well, my. And then they said that the ethanol mandate has negatively affected water quality, with greater biofuel production resulting in more harmful algae blooms and hypoxia. Whoa! So all that they were saying is good has turned into a real negative situation. Caller, good morning, and thank you for calling.
Hey, Zeb. You brought up the ethanol deal. Well, of course, we kind of figured that out years and years ago, that it's not good for your engines. And the other thing that gets me is jet fuel, diesel exhaust fuel. You got to have it for your diesel engines. Well, now the city's coming out showing that ain't all it's cracked up to be. It causes, with ammonia and water, pretty much you're dumping in your fuel system.
Yeah.
I can't imagine ammonia vapor would be all that great to inhale or to have hanging around either. But,
you know, I don't know, Riley. I got to share some knowledge that I don't have. I do not understand all about the DEF liquid that has to be added to the diesel engines. I don't understand the whys and the how comes and the whereabouts. But to me, it's just another added encumbrance for the vehicle owners. And it seems to me like the more garbage we're putting in there and the less fuel efficiency that we're getting out, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it doesn't make any sense to me either, and you lose horsepower. I don't exactly understand how it works either, to be totally honest with you. But I do know with that extra added equipment that you have to put on your diesel equipment, whether it be a tractor, truck, or a pickup, it's going to cost the consumer who buys that and runs that X amount of dollars more.
Yeah.
Driving the price of the vehicle up, the maintenance up, the cost at the pump up for additional, fuels. I don't know if it's really worth it, to be honest with you. I have a 1997 Ford diesel pickup, and she runs pretty good.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
I don't have to put a lot of crap in.
I traded in a 2003 pickup and got a much newer pickup, and you got all these bells and whistles, and you got to put the DEF in and everything else. And I tell you what I'm going to do. There is a lady that is known as the car coach, and she's been on my program many times in the past, and she knows all, and believe me, she is sharp. She knows all about what's going on in the gasoline and diesel industry and the automotive industry. I am going to call her after the program, and I'm going to get her on the air this next week. Riley, I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
One more quick thing about vehicles since I got you. I have a 1970 Chevy pickup, half-ton Chevy pickup. And talk about reliability. I know how to fix it. It's simple. I don't have a radio in it because it doesn't work anymore. But on, off, you can fix it. You can find a short. You're running. And I wish it was simple again.
Oh, man.
But I'll let you go, sir.
You know, I threw open the hood of my pickup and I looked at it and I thought, what in the world am I doing here? I have no business looking under the hood. Thanks, Riley.
Yep, bye.
All right, buddy. Thank you much. Now, I don't understand all this extra garbage that we have to keep doing. Oh, you got to do this, and a little light goes on and says, DEF, you must put some in. imitating somewhat the voice and the notice, etc. But it just doesn't make any sense to me. Anybody out there that knows automotive industry much better than I, you're welcome to call. Let's see, what else have I got cooking here? I want to make sure that I make an announcement that, what did I do with that little list? Oh, Deanne gave me. The 3rd annual Patriotic Car Show. I want to tell you this, it's only about basically a month away. The 3rd annual Patriotic Car Show, standing for the red, white, and blue, is going to be on Fremont Street in Rupert, and Wilson Theater is going to have a free movie. There's going to be bikes and boats and cars and entertainment and vendors. All of this is going to be in Rupert on September 8th, and I'm giving you advance notice on this 3rd annual Patriotic Car Show. Absolutely a neat event. We are, at this time, going to send it back over to Wheels at our main studios, and we'll be back in about 3 minutes.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
My next guest on this program is absolutely knowledgeable about what's going on with world events, and I always appreciate and respect her knowledge on these various issues. And she's the co-chair of the Media Equality Project and national spokeswoman for MediaEqualizer.com. Good morning to Megan Barth. How are you?
Hi, Zeb. Doing well. Thanks for having me back.
It is my pleasure, my dear, and I'm going to start things off a little different this morning from what I was going to talk to you about. We'll get into in a little bit about the wildfires, etc. But I was really taken aback in the last couple of days, and I thought of you right away when I heard this, that the police departments and investigatory teams in Las Vegas have said, oh, got all the information, case closed on the mass shooting. What?
Yeah, I can't say that I really expected anything differently, specifically when the FBI took over the investigation, and then we had a ton of conflicting reports thereafter. But however, if you did watch the press conference that our sheriff here in Las Vegas Metro, Sheriff Joe Lombardo, held the other day, a reporter asked him if he believed in his own personal opinion or if the findings of this report concluded that this was an act of terrorism. He said the report did not include that, but his own personal feeling, and according to state law, this would be considered an act of terrorism, specifically because of how the attack was carried out, number one, and number two, the target of the attack, the type of people at the event. And let's not forget, the event was a country kind of music festival. They had just gotten done, Jason Aldean had just finished the Star-Spangled Banner, or God Bless America, and that is when the shooter unleashed mass carnage. Now, what's interesting about his own personal findings is, number one, they aren't reflected in the state report or the county report. When the reporter further questioned him, he said that a determination from the federal level has to be made if the FBI does find this a federal crime of terrorism.
Holy cow. I mean, I'm sitting here, and I am not nearly as close to this situation as you are. I do not know all the facts and what happened as you do, and I've still got a litany of questions as long as my doggoned arm as to what happened down there. How can anybody in their right mind accept these two words, case closed?
Well, even though I am closer to the situation in proximity, I too share probably your length of questions as long as my arm as well, and I think many of us do. There has been an entire whiteout, really, of the ability to find and seek answers. We still don't have the autopsy reports. We still don't have a lot of information, including much of the video footage that the police department had reviewed, and I think that totals like 21,000 hours, if I'm not mistaken. I also have questions about the amount of explosive material they found in his car. I also have questions related to knowing that he was a pilot. He owned a couple planes. He traveled, throughout the U.S. What were his flight routes? What was he transporting? What was the purpose or the motive thereof of his visits to the Middle East? Where did the $250,000 go that he transferred to the Philippines just a week before he carried out this mass carnage? The largest mass shooting in our country's history continues to be ignored by the mainstream media. The local media here, of course, we're always talking about it, but we're met with a wall of either disinformation or no information that is coming out because, or that's not coming out because, quote unquote, it's under now federal investigation. So these types of tactics are not strange to Vegas because, as the old adage says, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. However, the victims of this massacre are from many states throughout our union and demand answers. I think we're going to find a lot of answers, honestly, Zeb, in the discovery process of the many lawsuits that the MGM International Properties is facing.
Let me ask you this, Megan, and I want you to be blunt like I am. You always are, and that's why I enjoy having you on the program. This sounds to me like money talks, everything else walks in this case. In other words, we've got great big corporations behind the money and behind the casinos and behind the personality of Las Vegas. And it sounds to me almost like that's enough. Shut up. We need to get back to business. We're losing revenue and we need to hush this up. Am I wrong?
No, that's kind of the typical modus operandi here in Vegas, and I think I've said to you before that there was an Islamist terrorist attack on the SLS Hotel, Casino, and Resort, and the only reason I found out about it is because I got stuck in the highway closure, the freeway closure of the 15 freeway here in Las Vegas as the Islamist barricaded himself under the overpass which connects to my community. So the freeway was shut down for 5 hours. We never heard that in the national news. That was swept under the rug and barely mentioned in our local press. This is the power of the casinos, specifically when you have MGM International Hotel now filing lawsuits against the victims, claiming that there needs to, now it's not a financial lawsuit where they're suing them monetarily, but they are suing them for a change of venue from state to federal court, and they are also saying that they are protected because they received the green light of security from the Department of Homeland Security against, and that means that if there was a terrorist attack, they did everything in their power to protect the concert goers because of their relationship with the Department of Homeland Security. But what's interesting about that second part of the lawsuit is that the MGM International first claimed that this wasn't a terrorist attack. The police department said it wasn't a terrorist attack. The FBI came out immediately and said this wasn't a terrorist attack. It's interesting what they can claim when an investigation is ongoing, but what they won't talk about when an investigation is ongoing.
Absolutely. Now, let me ask you this. I'm a little naive about what the next step is, but you mentioned about the lawsuits with the victims and their families, etc. Who and under what group or umbrella can and will open up this investigation again to really get some answers?
Oh, geez, I don't know an answer to that question, but now that it's under federal investigation, we're going to have to wait to see what the federal investigators find and what conclusions they make based on the evidence they have gathered. If there was ever a reopening of this investigation, it would probably come out in court, whereby there might be conflicting testimony, the judge might demand extra evidence be presented. Who knows? There's a lot of variables right now, but there's more unknowns than there are variables. So we just, unfortunately, have to be patient to see what the federal government does with this investigation and the conclusions that they arrive at.
Absolutely. Let me shift gears, if I may, and talk to you a little bit about the wildfires that are springing up at this time of the year, almost every year, some much more in severity. But a lot of the wildfire problems, and I've maintained this for a long time, is because of stupid, uneducated environmental laws that were passed through the Obama administration. Am I wrong?
No, you're not entirely wrong. And actually, Katie Grimes and I, she's an investigative reporter, one of the few left in California as well as nationwide. I called her because I had lived in California for 22 years. Katie is a California native. And when I read a New York Times article last week that basically concluded that these wildfires were just the new normal and now a result of climate change, yet these fires have really kind of become a, standard of life, standard way of living since 2012, I called Katie and I said, why did they choose 2012? What happened in 2012? And so Katie and I started investigating and digging and researching like, intellectual, curious people do. And we came across a slew of environmental regulations that were passed at the federal level whereby the Obama EPA and the Obama administration really rewrote many of the federal regulations when it came to forest management. Now, these regulations applied to federal lands. However, they influence state regulation. Mm-hmm. And so when you look at California and when you look at the environmentalists who aren't conservationists, okay, that's the big difference. Environmentalists' policies really destroy the environment, as we are witnessing by the 17 fires that are now just raging out of control in California. The Mendocino fire being one of the largest fire in the state's history, surpassing the circumference or the acreage of Los Angeles. And so Ryan Zinke, who's our Secretary of Interior, has a follow-up article in USA Today which truly mirrors what our article was saying, which is that when forest management and lumber industry, which has now been completely banned really from California, there's really no lumber industry in California. They were the stewards of the forests at one time. But when the environmentalists came in and said, nope, there's a beetle here that needs protection. Nope, we've got, some indigenous people or indigenous flora and fauna that need protection. You can't log here anymore. Well, what that created was over 100 million dead trees, dead brush that weren't being cleared. Forests weren't being thinned, dead and dying timber everywhere. And so instead of trying to sustain the ecological system by proper forest management of thinning forests and the removal of dead and dying fauna, when we tried to do that in California, we were just mercilessly attacked with frivolous litigation from these radical environmentalists. They would rather see forests and communities burn down than see a logger in the woods.
Absolutely. And I can equate with what you're saying. It's happened right here, the same in southern Idaho. Hold on just a minute. We have a caller with a question for Megan Barth. Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Well, right now there's about 15 million acres of federally controlled land in Idaho. And one article said it was a ticking time bomb. And you see where you got California, Oregon, and Washington heavily forested, even more heavily forested in some places than Idaho. And the mismanagement. And these people talk about caring about the environment and the animals. Well, when it burns so hot that it sterilizes the ground, and there can be no new trees growing, and every animal and plant is burnt to a crisp, and it's worse than a crisis. It's so devastating, and you see the things that you grew up with and loved destroyed because of these careless SOBs who don't care about the environment. All they want to do is control us. And see, all we do is talk. Nothing changes. We're running out of time. I'll hang up.
Please respond to the caller, Megan. Thank you.
Well, I think that there is change coming. I tend to be an optimist, but with Ryan Zinke, who's the Secretary of Interior, who happens to hail from Montana, so he understands what good stewardship of the land means. He grew up amongst ranchers, etc. He now has the reins of the Department of Interior, so I'm encouraged when he publishes an article in USA Today, which I encourage you to find online or on Twitter. Read it. because I think that we can roll back many of the regulations, specifically these sweeping regulatory changes that the Obama administration made, which really limited the scope of what forest management can do from a federal level. And the caller is absolutely right. Under the Obama administration, they secured 193 million acres in this sweeping regulation, and Ryan Zinke has been giving the land back to the very people that will take care of it, and that's not the government. That is the ranchers. Those are the loggers. Those are the workers that understand what good forest management means. And your caller is exactly right. These fires are incinerators. It's government incineration, whereby bald eagles and many of the other animals that live in the woods are being incinerated. Generations of family farms and homes incinerated, and the land is, if at all, if it can ever be brought back to its natural habitat, that's going to take a lifetime. The environmentalists don't care because the environmentalists believe that humans are the cause of quote-unquote climate change. So how best to rebuild a state but to burn it down?
Yeah.
I mean, look at all of the federal dollars that, you guys, taxpayers in Idaho and everywhere around this country now have to funnel into California. Those trillions of dollars are not going to go to the stewardship of the land. That's going to go to Jerry Brown's pals and partners in order to keep the state afloat, because they are upside down and unfunded pension liabilities.
It scares me, and I use that word scare, to think what would have happened, where we would be, what kind of a path to more evil we'd be on had Hillary won this last election. Thank God that there was a change, there was an alteration, there was a putting in of a man and an administration that are more user-friendly to America and America's needs. But I shudder to think, and I'll use the word scare again, Megan, whoa, what happens in the future if we get someone similar to Hillary taking over the reins with an administration that'll backtrack on everything?
Well, when you look at the environmentalist policies, for example, when you look at liberation theology, for example, from a religious perspective, they all have their findings in Marxist doctrine. When you look at the evolution, if you will, or the regression, really, of the Democrat Party, they are being taken over by socialists. Socialism is simply the economic system of capitalism. So I have said for many years that this fight isn't between Democrat and Republican. This fight is between tyranny and freedom, and it is between socialism and capitalism. And so when we go to the polls, we must realize exactly what we're voting for, because a vote for a Democrat, a modern-day Democrat, is not a vote for capitalism, it's a vote for socialism. It is not a vote for freedom, it's a vote for tyranny. Look at what the Democrats are calling for now as far as the censorship of conservatives. Our dissent is being silenced across technology, whether it's Google, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. We are being silenced. Now that they've silenced InfoWars, Alex Jones, which, quite frankly, I've never read anything that he's written, but I will fight for having his voice in a public forum. He should not be silenced. Well, now that they've silenced him, guess who the left is coming after now? They're coming after Candace Owens, the black conservative who's outspoken against the socialist Marxist left. They will not stop. The left will not stop until you're silenced and I'm silenced, and the government has complete control of the Internet. That's what they're gunning for. So that's what we have to remember when we go to the polls, because our only power is in our vote. Because our voice is that powerful, they need to silence it.
Does it surprise you, last thought, I've got about 2 minutes left, Megan, does it surprise you, as much as you study and read and talk about what's going on in our society, that the word socialism, the acceptance of the word socialism, and more of the Democrats leaning towards being a socialist, does it surprise you all of a sudden this came to the forefront?
Not really, because I've always considered that liberalism is incrementalism, and so when they started labeling themselves as progressive, I knew that was just a euphemism for socialist. So I've always understood the enemy. I've always understood that socialism is the enemy. And I've always understood that big government is the enemy. I've understood that dependency is the enemy. And these are really the pillars of the Democrat Party. It comes to big government, dependency on government, open borders to create more dependency on government, and now they have turned their backs on the American citizens in favor of illegal aliens. So this progression of the Democrat Party is not a surprise to me. However, I think more and more people are surprised because of, for example, the walk-away movement. We have many Democrats, including black Americans. 29% of black Americans now view this president as favorable. We have more and more Democrats walking away from the Democrat Party. So that is a good sign that many more people are realizing that the Democrat Party always has been a socialist party, a party of slavery, a party of dependency, a party of racism, a party of bigotry, a party of dependency. And then nowhere will you find in their platform the word freedom.
Wow. I enjoy having you on. Megan Barth, co-chair of the Media Equality Project and national spokeswoman for MediaEqualizer.com. Megan, thank you so much. Please come back soon. We'll look forward to it.
Anytime, Zeb. Thanks so much.
Thank you. A wonderful lady right there out of the Las Vegas area, Megan Barth. Thank you. Holy moly, I did it again. I'm running late, and that means we've got to get a weather forecast on here right now. And the weather brought to you by Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Hello, Don Scarrow. How are you? All of the people that work there, they absolutely are proud of their great meats that they supply to you and your family, like marinated pork ribs for only $1.99 per pound. And then they've got those special barbecue packages, you know, with the beef and the pork and the chicken. Oh, it is still barbecue time. You need to get out and enjoy all the breakfast bacons and the bratwurst, everything from Scarro's Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. Number to call, 324-7657. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this Wednesday, and we are still expecting that haze to stick around due to all of the area wildfires. Sunny skies for today and a high of 93. Tonight, clear skies with a low of 58. Tomorrow, even warmer. Sunny, hazy, high of 96 with an overnight low of 60. By Friday, we are expecting 100 degrees, so please make sure that you're able to keep yourself cool on that day. For Friday night, looks like clear skies with a low of 63. Then for Saturday, winds are picking up just a little bit, knocking down the temperature to about 89. And then as we look ahead towards Sunday, sunny skies and upper 80s. That's your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, she does a great job putting it all together so we can understand what the weather is going to be. Thank you very much, Gina. And thank you to Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarro's Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Again, that telephone number, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time at Scarro's Meats. Want to remind you tomorrow, Thursday on the program, lots of good things. We've got, of course, our Cassia County School Days. We've got our Cassia Regional Hospital shows and segments. We've got a visit with the Chamber Office. We've got Rita Ramsey on. Oh, my goodness, some national people coming on at 10:30. We've got all kinds of good things tomorrow on Thursday. Right now, I want to remind you about our major sponsor. I am very, very blessed to have your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations, as our major sponsor of this program. Absolutely. If you're going to have a road trip before the kids go back to school, you're going to take off and maybe go to Albuquerque, New Mexico, or maybe drive back to Topeka, Kansas, whatever it is, make sure your road trip ready. Absolutely. Check your tires. If you need new tires, they've got tires of all the different tread designs for your cars, your pickups, SUVs. They know tires. Believe me. And the best in brake service and front end alignments and shocks and struts and batteries. All of this at all 7 locations. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. That is going to wrap it up and put it back in the box for today, and I urge you to have a good day, a pleasant day, a safe day, and don't forget we'll be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06 with much more Zeb at the Ranch, and we always end the program by saying the way things were are the way things ought to be, and we've added a new one. The world needs more cowboys. God bless you. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.